Time now for Inside Utah Politics with Lindsay Ertz.
Well, welcome on into News for Utah Plus today. Taylor's making faces already, so you
logo.
know
I'm
it's
just saying
going to...
this logo
I
is
wanted to say it was
amazing.
the first time I saw the
So
logo,
great.
Lindsay. I had the same reaction.
No
so.
offense,
Thanks.
Glenn Mills, but Lindsay's really taking it up a notch.
Yeah, I love
Just
it.
trying to get us into the 21st century. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here, and thanks for finding us on News for Utah Plus. Tell your friends. You can find us on YouTube, too. Look for links or just search for Inside Utah Politics. With me today, Taylor Morgan and Leah Murray. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, Lindsay.
How are we? Tell the people who you are and what you do.
Oh, Leah, please go first.
I'm political science professor up at Weber State University.
And the director of the Walker Institute.
And there's that too, yes.
And award-winning professor
And all the
on many
things.
fronts. Leah's the best.
And there's Taylor.
I work for her on the
This is
side.
Mr. Morgan.
Yes, Taylor Morgan.
Mr. Morgan, go ahead.
I am a partner at Morgan May Public Affairs, consulting, lobbying, all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah.
Only does a lot of consulting for Utah's lawmakers and issues.
I don't know that I want to take credit.
You don't want to claim that?
No, we'll get to it.
Okay, all right. We'll get into it. Okay, let's dive into a topic that is bringing up some chatter on Utah's Capitol Hill. That was a pretty scathing audit that came out about Utah State University. This was a legislative audit, so keep in mind it's not like a third party coming in here to independently, look at the financials or anything. It's legislators tell their auditors to go look at this state agency and see how they're performing. So this audit found that the former USU president may have broken the law after pushing for some lavish expenditures. We know that a bidet was included in those lavish expenditures.
$750 bidet, which, it's a nice bidet.
Have we seen the bidet?
Yeah.
I have seen the bidet.
You've seen the bidet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very pro bidet.
You pro
and
bidet.
I don't know that I would spend $750 on a bidet.
I may be pro bidet, but
Yeah.
not taxpayer pro
Taxpayer
bidet.
pay bidet.
Right? Like,
Taxpayer pro
Good
bidet.
point. Good
a
point.
little bit, if that's like the standard for buildings, then I'm all for it. But if you are asking using taxpayer money, right?
For a
I don't
bidet.
know. Yeah.
I'm just kind of, I don't know if jealous is the right word that you've seen the taxpayer funded bidet, but it's kind of been the thing.
Yeah.
It's kind
Well,
of become
cold
a
in Logan,
thing.
you need to have a warm toilet seat, okay? You also need a climate-controlled $30,000 golf cart, obviously.
Yeah, that was also part of it too. So on top of criticizing the former president, Elizabeth Cantwell, and some of her leadership, it also criticizes the university, past and current administrators, the board of trustees at USHE for sort of not having this oversight. Leah, let me start with you because you're in higher ed here. This really impacts your world. How does Utah State come back from this?
Well, I think one, Brad Mortensen, who's their new president, just rebuilding trust, right? And not having it be the case they need to have another audit hopefully goes a really long way. So I will just say I'm friends with Brad. He used to be my president. And when he got up to Utah State, what showed up on my Instagram reel is he was using that, what did you say? $35,000 golf cart to drive students to class in bad weather, right? So it's clearly there was mismanagement of funds under the previous regime. This new administration is actually going to care and put students first. And what a beautiful rebrand of using that and driving students around. Yeah. So a little bit it's like Brad is a wonderful person. I know him very well. He is never going to misuse money. He's going to make sure that whatever is happening is now being fully accounted for, right? So I do just think, right, but man, if I were a parent sending kids there, you're did I pay tuition
Oh my goodness.
for that bidet? A little bit.
And how many times did Utah State increase the cost of tuition, right, over the last several years? Students are taking out loans, going into debt, right, just to pay tuition and get to class and buy books. And we've got a president buying a $35,000 golf cart, $750 bidet. But that isn't even scratching the surface. There is a whole lot more in this audit, just wastes of taxpayer dollars.
Well, and it just seems like one person at the top maybe shouldn't be able to get away with this type of spending. How did nobody check her along the way?
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's an excellent
That's the question.
I want to just say, as someone who's not at the top of the university, I feel like our purchasing says no to me all the time, right? And I'll be like, can I spend $200 on this thing? And they're like, no. I think one of the flaws is presidents generally have more authority, right? Heads of agencies have more authority. And a little bit, the world depends on people acting in good faith and actually having good behavior. So I want to also say we were all stunned by what was in the audit because you would never think someone would do that, right? Who would be a president of a public university being a steward, a fiduciary responsibility of that, such an important role? I was stunned what she thought she could do, right?
This is an interesting, I think there's a political dynamic here, right, that is very much part of this that no one is really quite talking about. And this, I think, is really at the forefront of politics around higher education in Utah. Brad Mortensen, I think it's a great point, and this is why this comes to mind. Brad Mortensen is a Utah guy, right? He is from here. He has, similar values, the mindset, and now at Utah State, he's the perfect fit for president. I think sometimes in academia, maybe in the past, I don't know, or maybe it's just a Utah thing, we have often gone out of state to bring in presidents for maybe status or to bring in someone from an Ivy League or a well-known prominent East Coast school. We tend to bring those presidents into Utah schools just to, I don't know, add some prestige, right? To provide a sense of elitism or qualification in academics. And I think that was the case with this president. Having come from University of Pennsylvania to Logan, that seems like an odd move, right? She jumped off to Washington State before, any of this really came out, allegedly. But I think the legislature and board of trustees and search committees here in Utah are going to do this more and more. They're going to hire local people, Utah people who understand the values here and can work with our state legislature.
Interesting. Okay, so you mentioned that Cantwell's now in Washington, and it still remains to be seen. We couldn't really get a good answer today as I was on Utah's Capitol Hill whether actual criminal charges have been referred to the Attorney General's office. Usually the AG's office doesn't comment on pending litigation, so we don't totally know. But do you guys think because there were other issues with procurement, right? The report specifically details that she allegedly tried to influence who was procuring contracts to benefit some of her friends. The reporting I've seen making it clear that she appeared to violate Utah procurement laws. Do you think anything will happen from this?
So this is not the right answer to your question, so I'll just pivot it to like a normative answer, Lindsay, to your question, which is probably something should. So she is now the president of another public university, not in our state, right? But in Pac-12, which is a...
Pac-12, come on, there's no Pac-12.
Utah State is in Pac-12.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
Pause. So
sorry,
in
Brad.
the athletic conference that Utah State
it's not
is
the real
in...
Pac-12, though. Come on.
Well, but all right. So
sorry. Don't bring up college football.
Let her make her point.
Come on.
My point being, she's still in a position of stewardship of public funds.
Yes.
She's in a position of being the president of a university that's in an athletic conference with Utah State. And so a little bit, it just doesn't sit right. Is that the right way to say that, for her to just kind of head to Washington State off into the sunset and not have to have any consequences for this? Never mind the fact that what we said earlier, taxpayer money maybe was not used well. A little bit, I don't know the answer to the question of whether they have been, but I feel like probably criminal charges should be pursued.
Yeah, it's hard. Spending a lot of money on lavish items for your office, right? The bidet, the golf cart, all these things are wildly inappropriate and inexcusable, illegal. I don't know. But if she violated Utah law and university policy when it came to procurement to get a kickback, to me, that seems pretty straightforward, that would be illegal. I would love, if charges can be filed, if there's cause, right? I think they have to meet a pretty high bar. But if that's possible, I would love to see charges filed. Could you imagine this story that a sitting university president at a wannabe Pac-12 school now in Washington is essentially being charged with crimes in Utah for her previous position? Interesting.
Does her new school know what happened at her old school?
I have no idea. We haven't really heard her. She hasn't really responded to everything that's happening here.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. All right. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Lindsay, you're an Aggie, right?
I am. Aggies all the way.
Do you have feelings? I mean, does this bother you as an alum?
Well, I probably will refrain from sharing my feelings because I try to remain neutral when I'm talking about political topics.
What is this? Like Scotsman? Is this milking a cow? Is that what that is?
Doesn't love it.
Right, but as an alum,
me the
right?
Englishman who does,
Right. Okay. So that you are part of the stakeholder group, and I apologize for putting you right on the
No,
spot.
I'll just talk around you. It's
right.
fine.
But the question kind of is would you send your children there, knowing this had happened? Right. That's when we asked earlier, what is the damage, and how long does it take? Right? Do alums hear these stories and go, I'm not donating, or I'm not I'm not sending my children, or
well, and I think you've heard lawmakers say, Utah State has a chance to be an example here of accountability, right? So you hear Brad Mortensen taking accountability for, the problems that existed before his tenure. He can't change them, right? But he's rehabilitating the image and the culture on campus. I would presume to help those donors, to help those alumni, to help those future students and parents feel comfortable that they're fixing this, right? Even if it was broken before.
Yeah. And Utah State is critical for our higher education system.
Oh, it's such
It's our
an important...
land grant school. They have satellite campuses all over the state. It is.
They used to have sororities.
Oh, they got rid of those?
They got rid of those.
Oh.
Apparently there was
Did
some
you
bad
break
behavior.
them, Lindsay?
Yeah, we broke
Did
them,
you?
actually.
It was you, the generation that broke them. But the
That's
point
actually
is,
fair.
like in the UC system, right, in the Utah State higher education system, that land grant is such an important jewel in the crown.
It is.
Right? Like, and like it cannot.
Yeah. The reputation is absolutely vital. And Brad Mortensen is the perfect choice. Brad is really working hardly, as you pointed out, to rehabilitate the image, right, of Utah State. I think he's doing a great job. Utah State's in good hands, but boy, the mess was so big that it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I do want to point out that we do have Brad Mortensen on Inside Utah Politics this Sunday.
Wow,
so
that's great.
8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on ABC4. You can hear what Brad has to say about how this will move forward. Okay, let's move to another topic, shall we? The legislature's redistricting case is moving forward today. We now know that the legislature has filed a stay with the Utah Supreme Court. And what that means is they want to halt the ruling that came out that said they weren't allowed to overturn Proposition 4, and thus the ruling that said, here's the new map that we're going to go forward with. Meanwhile, the Utah County Clerk has filed a motion to try to join the case, essentially. He's basically saying, I have some jurisdiction here because I'm the one who is implementing these maps. I'm finding some issues. This is going to be really hard on Utah County because of the way we have to assign precincts. This new map cuts Utah County in 3 different places, so this impacts Utah County differently than other counties. I don't know that there's a question in here, guys, other than what happens now in terms of, okay, so one other thing is the legislature has asked to get a ruling by February 20th from the state Supreme Court in order to move this thing forward. Do you think that happens? How do you guys see this playing out?
Wow, I am...
You're just impressed I'm up to speed?
I mean, there's a lot happening here. I really hesitate to speculate about what is going to happen next in this case because we
would have gotten it wrong.
Oh, my goodness.
Right,
Nobody really, I mean, all the developments in this case over the last year, really very few of them, any of us could have predicted, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, Aaron Davidson is now joining the chat. He's always trying to join any chat. That will be interesting, however, as a county clerk. He may have some valid points and valid arguments there.
But if he's right, then didn't Salt Lake County have a valid, right? Their county was split into 4 under the old map. A little bit, if I were the judiciary, I might be just cautious.
Yeah.
Right, headed down that road.
You know who should really be complaining? Ricky Hatch, the Weber County clerk, because Ogden sharing a congressional district with Blanding, Utah, that seems problematic to me. So it's interesting that it's Aaron Davidson and not other clerks. Aaron is, let's just say he's not the most competent or credible county clerk, and especially in the eyes of the legislature and the courts. Aaron is not doing a great job at, implementing elections according to law, so I don't know that he's the strongest spokesperson. Aaron, come on the show. Prove me wrong. Let's discuss.
I don't think he'll talk to me.
He might talk to me. He likes to talk to me on X.
Okay. That's fair. He will talk to us publicly.
Very chatty, very responsive on X.
Yes.
But I'm also interested about my point there, like if he's joining the lawsuit, right, then the county has to have been harmed. And the fact is, if the harm is what he says it is, then the old districts harmed another county. I just think it's the wrong
And
grounds.
let's be clear that he's not joining on behalf of the county. Like this is, he is, but it's not being paid for by the county. This is not the county saying, go forth, my child, and join the lawsuit.
Then
now, they may be supportive of it. They may agree with some of his reasoning, but there is an outside entity, and I don't know who it is yet, paying his
See, that
legal
makes me
fees.
uncomfortable. I don't think that's appropriate. If a sitting county clerk is going to weigh in a legal case in this way, specifically talking about elections and alleging harms to voters in his county, he should be doing that in his official capacity as a county clerk. That should be paid for by the county with official taxpayer dollars. It should not be paid for by some, third-party entity that probably has political motives, right?
But
That's a problem.
I wonder if the county didn't want to be involved. And then did the group come to them and say, go forth anyways. Just don't interfere with the case that the legislature is trying to make.
We're speculating, to be clear, right? We don't know for sure. That said, if he's not doing it in his official capacity as clerk and it's being paid for by the county, he should not be doing it.
Okay, we'll have to see how that all plays out as well. We should know here in the next couple of weeks whether and how that moves forward. I'm also keeping an eye out for a federal court filing because we'll see if that comes to.
First week of March, right, is when the candidate filing period for congressional districts in Utah open up.
Yeah.
We already have a ton of candidates running for the new first congressional district.
Right.
We probably, I think, 32 Democrats have filed already.
That's
maybe
a round
not.
number.
Maybe
Is
it's
that a
10.
real
I
number?
don't
Just
know.
round it up.
Well, I mean, there's so many
Peter,
of them.
fact check.
I don't know.
Fact check.
Fact
was
check
the
that,
number
Peter.
this morning.
I feel
It's
like we have
gotten
at
into the
least 8.
40s.
We have 8,
Are you
right?
serious?
No.
I was like, what?
I can't. I can't abuse my position as the fact checker. No, I think 8 sounds right. I can get you an exact
Roughly.
number in a
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. We're
not-
estimating here, ballpark.
It's
Come on.
not 32. It's either 8 or 32. Not sure. Okay, so this moves forward. The reason I say watch for a federal filing is because part of the state's filing here alleges that the current case violates the federal constitution, right? And lawmakers have said publicly that they will take this to the U.S. Supreme Court if they need to.
Yeah.
So watch for a federal filing in this case as well. Finally, guys, I want to address a bill being run at Utah's Capitol, and that is one that could potentially proposes an idea to make Election Day a state holiday. What do we think of this idea? Should everyone be off work?
I'm all for state holidays. I mean, only state employees will actually get the day off, maybe.
Right?
But
I don't think I'll get the day off.
I mean, a little bit, it's like the point of the holiday is to give people time to go to the polls and vote. I feel if Utah, with its robust vote by mail system, there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want a holiday. Let's be clear. Like, I always love a holiday.
Yeah.
But a little bit, it feels like the whole reason we did the vote by mail was so that access was not an issue.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to have a holiday to make, like it's a problem in another state.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with vote by mail, which is wildly popular here in Utah and has increased our rate of participation significantly since 2014, most voters do vote well before Election Day. Election Day is no longer Election Day. It's more like an election month, right? Election Day is now about
Jubilee.
45 days, not one day. So yeah, give me the state holiday. But, I think the whole goal is to make voting more accessible and more convenient for voters. Right. I don't know that we need a day off to do that. And assuming if it is a state holiday, Utahns who work for private companies or in private business would likely not have a holiday. So,
Or federal workers.
or a federal worker.
Or the
true.
elections
Yeah.
workers who are all county employees.
They never get a holiday around election day.
Right.
Right.
I think it's an interesting idea. I don't know that it's necessary. I think we have other more straightforward ways to make voting more accessible.
Representative Ryan Wilcox is running this bill. He has tried this idea at least one other year in a row, if not more. Why do we think it's so important to him? And obviously you're not in his mind, but what is the argument that it should be a holiday just gives people more time off. Those people who, can't get to the polls again. I know we have vote by mail, but a lot of people like to drop off their ballot.
Yeah.
Does it hurt anything to have this as a state holiday?
I don't think so. And we know that we've changed the deadlines here in Utah, even for vote by mail. Right now, you have to have your ballot postmarked the day before Election Day, or you have to physically turn it in at a drop box or your clerk's office, on Election Day. So I don't mind the idea of giving people more time and a holiday potentially. Again, it doesn't necessarily affect that many Utahns, right? And it's not that necessary, but I'm not against it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, so let me just pause and say, it could be seen as a civic holiday, right? So in the same way that we celebrate like the 4th of July, or we celebrate, you know what I mean? Like
Martin Luther King
Day or Pioneer Day. Like there are moments where maybe you want your civic community to like pause and take a minute.
Yeah.
And maybe Election Day is the appropriate day to do that.
That's a great point. Maybe it's not about making voting easier. Maybe it is about celebrating, democracy in our
And this
constitutional
republic that we have. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you. Yes,
yeah.
you had to get the R word in there. You can't say the D word unless you clarify and follow it with the R word.
I was lectured on that today too. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is a republic. I'm sorry.
A constitutional republic,
Yeah.
where we have democratic elections, where we elect Republicans.
But usually people who are pushing it,
Yeah.
so I'm surprised it's Representative Wilcox, right? Like, I'm not, because usually people who are pushing it are talking, like in places like West Virginia, where like the voting is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on like election day. And
Yeah.
you're like, any person with a normal job has to get the day off from work to get to the polls. That
Yeah.
seems excessively obstructionist. But Utah's just not like that, right? We are so good about making it possible for our citizens to participate across the board, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe it's more about that civic holiday. But like you said, Lindsay, I didn't ask him, right? So I wasn't sure.
I will always take a civic holiday. Let's do it. Yeah, let's celebrate.
Let's be honest, I'm gonna have to work it no matter what. Doesn't matter. So, guys, thanks for your insights today. We appreciate it. Any last bills you're watching at the legislature this week that you want people to know about before we wrap up here?
Oh, goodness gracious.
This
So
is your
many.
chance
So
for a
many.
plug for your stuff.
I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about yet, so I better not
yeah,
say
Taylor.
anything.
Well, those are
Saying
the
just
bills
did
I
this.
want to know about.
There's a lot of bill titles. The deadline to publish bill titles was last Friday, which means there are a ton of, we call them boxcars, a ton of titled bills without language. And so if you want to have some fun, get on le.utah.gov. Go look at some bill titles.
So tell me, are we going to be, because I feel like my resolution, the last time I saw you 10 years ago,
Yeah.
was we were having resolutions for the session, and my resolution was to come in under 500 bills.
No, we won't. But there is a bill to limit the number of
I mean,
bills.
yeah, you got to have a bill to limit the bills. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, there is
Okay.
one of those.
I'm
I
a
think it's
fan.
like 10 per lawmaker or something like that.
But
But
where do you think, given this rate that you're seeing, it's going to land?
Oh, that's a really good question. It is hard to know. I will say this session, at this point in the session, seems a lot less frenetic and hectic, perhaps less chaotic than it was last year. I think, we have seen this year, we've seen some priority consensus bills like the Supreme Court bill. That got done last week and the governor signed it right away. So it's interesting. Fewer bills perhaps getting further along in the session would be my guess.
yeah, and just because you have fewer bills doesn't mean you have fewer topics. It can be omnibus bills with lots of topics in them. We're seeing that with elections, right? So
Senator McKell clearly said it was not an omnibus election bill. Lindsay, just to clarify
that's not what
that.
he said to me. He literally called it an omnibus bill. He said, I think that's fair.
We
to
needed
call
to
it
have
that.
this argument 2 minutes ago.
We're out of time.
He
we are out of
doesn't
time.
get to say what the bill's called.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Senator. I'm doing my best.
Thank you, Taylor and Leah, for your insights today. We appreciate it. Producer Peter, we appreciate you too.
Thanks, everybody.
I appreciate Peter's look today. Peter,
It's
we need
so
you on camera
good.
right now. Come on.
It's
Please.
Mountain Man
Thank
chic.
you.
Look at that.
Do a little twirl for you.
Yeah,
We need another plaid on the screen there. Thank you.
so good.
Thanks, folks.
We'll be back with another episode on Wednesday this week, so make sure you tune in then. And of course, Inside Utah Politics, you can go back and watch last week with Senator McKell and Representative Andrew Stoddard talking about some of their proposals. And then this Sunday, we'll have Brad Mortensen and one other guest who I have yet to book yet. So we got to figure that out. But we will see you next time.